Hi everybody, my name's Thomas Quinn, and this is Undeniable. My guests today are 3 of the 5 founding members of Metal Monster Productions. We sit down and we discuss a few of their short films, what drove them into making movies, and how their production company is different from most. It can best be described as a collective of friends who are really supporting each other make films. Just a quick note before we get into it. This was my first attempt at recording more than one person at a time, and due to restrictions, we only had one mic, so the audio quality isn't the best, but the conversation is great, and any filmmakers out there who want to get inspired, or really just any artist out there who want to get inspired, I hope you enjoy my conversation with 3 of the 5 founding members of Metal Monsters. Why don't we just start with you guys introducing yourself and kind of your role in Metal Monster?
All right, cool. I'm Michael Uccello. I'm one of the founding partners of Metal Monster. I write, produce, direct, and help out creatively with the business.
Patrick Delle. I am another founding member with Michael. I act as our composer and a producer for the films that we're making.
I'm Julian. I'm also a founding member. I do a lot of writing and directing, and part of the creative side of the company.
I guess let's just start at the beginning. How long have you guys known each other?
Julian and I met at Toronto Film School. Him and I just had an affinity towards each other. We both enjoyed the same things. We both disliked the same things, which was a big one. Especially when finding a friend, it's more about what both of you hate. That's what's in common, right?
For sure.
So it was just a wild time for us at school, and we started hanging out.
Then I invited you to the bar that one day.
Then you invited me to the bar.
And then we had several after that.
Yeah.
And we're good.
And it was actually the genesis of it all was the Halloween franchise and which movie was our favorite. And, Julian was on my left at the Firkin bar and.
At the
and,
I was on the right. I don't know what
yeah.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Firkin.
Why not just give people a place? But yeah, and then they asked me which one was my favorite, and I turned to Julian and I go, And I always feel like the underdog when I say this. I go, honestly, my favorite's Rob Zombie's first Halloween. I think it was exactly what I wanted Michael Myers to be, and exactly how I thought him to be, and it blew my mind when I was a kid. So, and then Julian looked at me and
I was like, that's exactly what I wanted to hear.
And then he gave me a hug and he said, join the club. I said, all right, nice.
It was one that would give you the most of a backstory and
right. Yeah, it's what you want in a remake, right? It gives you something new and different while also, playing on what we know him to actually be. It was different and similar, which I enjoyed.
What was your first impression of me, Michael, when they introduced me to you at TFS? I didn't go to Toronto Film School. I was the only one who wasn't there. So
right.
I met Michael through Julian and his
What was that, the Oscars party?
Not the actual Oscars.
So no.
It was the Academy Awards.
2016.
Well, yeah, Oscars would be in the 2017. So it was like 2017
was it?
Oscars.
It was one of those parties that we did?
Pat came.
Party Pat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Party Pat came.
Party hat on.
And I was with the boys. It was my first time meeting Pat. My first impression of you, Julian warned me about you.
What did he say?
He just said, he's a psycho, loose cannon. If he does anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, just let it go. I promise you he'll grow on you. And I said, well... We'll see about that, because I'm not one to be touched. I'm like a personal space kind of guy. And he was exactly that. But we did have a good time. We played that game in the car. What was that game?
Write a story.
Write a story.
Remember you used to look at me and you go, okay, Julian, car seat. Write me a short film.
Right.
Those are warm-ups. We would just say an idea, then I'd make one of them, make a movie idea off of it. That was good. And Mike was creative.
We did that, yeah. That was good. And then, so just from that, we bounced off each other creatively well, just in the car as a group, first time kind of being together. And not that we were trying, we were just shooting the shit.
Yeah, just hanging out.
And that's why I liked it, because we didn't have to try.
Yeah, it was free flow, it was fun.
Just having fun and doing what you like to do. and, not making it a fucking job.
Yeah.
Who wants that?
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants a job?
I'd say the story too between the Vetrones and I.
Yeah.
That lasted a long time. So if you want to talk about the movies we used to make as kids growing up.
Yeah.
Which made you guys go to film school?
We used to just shoot like Halloween stuff in the backyard. Not even cut, just shoot it. Run around and kill each other.
Is Angel one of these?
No, that escalated to Angel. Could kind of pull it off as that.
Planted.
But then we started kind of getting a little bit more serious, and then Patrick, he taught me how to play guitar. He's like best musician I fucking know, and he came on and started scoring the movies, and we started getting our feet wet with that, and then eventually we've progressed and everything. So yeah, but he was always best friends with Lucas, who's also in our company. They met through school.
So you said there's 5 of you.
Julian's brothers,
Christian and Lucas, my 2 brothers.
What kind of stuff were you working on, for your projects in film school?
Horror. I mean, we were even talking yesterday in the garage that only now, and I guess last year as well, where horrors will really start to come to the forefront again in Hollywood and movies, or just in general, overall, just pop culture, right? And we, at that point, we were just trying to do something different. We were trying to think of ideas that could do something like that could put horror and these darker genres back on the map again, because that whole, the superhero that was going on, and we were
pretty sure that's over, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's over, or it's slowing down. It's not at least buzz. People are going insane, and that's all they're watching. People
trying to bring back the dark superheroes.
But that's what we were doing. We were looking for that. We were looking to try something new, to explore ideas that have been made already, and flipping them upside down into inverted shit that no one's really ever seen. And that's what we've continued to do. And we're looking to make that first feature. I guess from now would be 3 years from the date we've been together. It's been a long process. Lots of ideas.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Tons. And a lot of the ideas we've thought of, you see go down the road, and it's like, wow, that's been great. This movie's coming out. Cross that out. Great. That movie just got released. Shoot, we missed our chance.
That we have.
Well, no, it's just, I guess, overall, universal mind, right? Or even, and we flush these ideas out. They're not just...
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
They're fleshed out. I remember one time we came up with an idea, Lucas in particular, and we wrote it out, did a full treatment for this thing. One day, we all hammered it out together.
Hard working night. We all put it in.
Next day, I wake up in the morning, I look, Sundance accepts, there's raves about this movie called The Hole in the Ground. And we look at, our movie was called The Hole in the Ground. We look at the trailer, the scene in the trailer. That's exactly what we wrote. And we go, God, and the entire story was exactly what we had written the night before. And yes, we're obviously late, 2 years, 1 year late. Yeah. But we're like, guys, well, at least we know we got into Sundance. You know what I mean? So it was crazy. It's just nuts how many movies are made and how many ideas are done.
I did the same thing where I wrote the script. I had my friends who are producers. We were talking with investors. Then one of the friends of the producers, he was pitching it to him, and he was like, "Oh, you mean this?" And we go and look it up. Have you heard of this? And it was my second title. I spent 4 months on the script or something, and he was rewriting it, and we
You have that moment of fuck.
Yeah, it's painful.
Yeah, it really is. It's a real punch in the gut. It's always funny to laugh about.
You just got to be the first person to get to it. That's why you get that idea, just start fucking going.
It's great though. Sometimes.
There you go.
It's like babies, how there's always a million people making the same idea, and who's gonna get it first? That's how filmmaking is. There's always ideas.
Every idea that you have, somebody's thought of it.
For sure.
That's what they tell you.
For sure.
Just get going on it.
Even going to those markets, going to Cannes, going to Fantasia, going to these film markets where you're seeing this year, this is what's out there, this is what's being sold and bought. Crazy. I never would have thought, this amount of movies in these markets just alone, singularly, exist. And they've been made this year, and they're being bought and sold, and most of them probably aren't being bought and sold.
For everyone that's bought, there's how many that didn't get into the festival.
Exactly. So it's crazy to see these posters too and go, oh, damn, that looks a lot like, or this sounds a lot like.
HBO has this special like Shangri-La on like Rick Rubin's studio. He tries to make his studio like basically a little enclave where the outside world isn't allowed in, and it's like all zen, and like he's like he kind of looks like a Zen master now with a big beard and walking around. And but it's interesting, like, and his whole thing is, as an artist, you're a conduit, and you're tapping into something that's there, and you're bringing it out. Music and movies, writing, anything. You're basically tapping into something and speaking to the collective.
Yeah.
That's why other people are channeling that same energy. We all watch the same thing and like, well, that's kind of cool, but what if we did this way? And someone, and across the world did the exact same thing. And how many projects have you guys done together?
10 to 12. I mean, some, I guess, professionally done than others. I mean, we have I wouldn't call them, more amateur projects, but stuff that we kind of do just for the sake of doing them. There's no real agenda for them. They're just what they are. And in that case, there's collectively a lot more.
Yeah.
But
even the ones where we just go to like help people out, and then we come on and we all do like some stuff.
Which is great, there's no way I could have done it, let's say, on my own. There's no way any of us could have done them on our own, or anybody at a film school could have done them. Yeah. To have a group that everyone, supports each other, and we're there through all the shit that goes on. We're able to have done that, which is awesome. And we have different hats, as you say, that we can just bang out, do things very cost effectively, very efficiently, because we basically live at each other's houses. We can be at multiple places at once. That's another thing. We're an engine. That's what we're trying to be. Just a giant bloody engine.
Turning them out.
Yeah.
On top of which, too, like, for example, we shot Angel and Dreamcatcher both done on the same time period. So when that Abigail, my apologies.
Don't say sort of me, say sort of the audience.
I'm thinking of God's Madman, actually. God's Madman and Angel. Those were two both done at the same house. And then, I get one in post, then someone's finishing the edit on the movie, then after I work on it. So there's always movies being worked on and new ones starting with everyone's different hats. So it's such a good train and engine like you have.
Definitely a good
that
flow.
works, yeah.
Yeah. Great flow.
We've put Pat to the test with him. We'll give him one, and we're like, okay, get going. And then as soon as it's done, he has to like flip his mind and just go into a completely different film. Like the next day, and go, shit, okay, I gotta get this one going.
Yeah, and I need it in a week.
Yeah. Tight deadlines, lots of late nights, but we all laugh by the end of it.
Yeah.
So how long are these projects like?
2 days. Yeah. 2 days. Most of the projects are 2 days.
I guess from my little foray into the film world, it seems like you guys have, because you have this collective and you have this like, we're just going to go do it attitude. You don't have to really wait, which is a great thing, because everything, as like a writer, I can write it something and people can okay it, but then the next stage they might not okay it, and then they want to rewrite, and then you just get there, and then by the time they actually get to shooting, it could be like so drained of the whole process that it's like
exactly you start to fall out of love.
I mean, that's why I'm really into this. I almost want to call it a collective over like a production company. I guess that's what they are in a sense. But the fact that you have like 5 founding members and you're all kind of switching hats.
For sure. It's, I don't know, who are we listening to about the whole hierarchy? I don't know what it was, but like in our sense, the hierarchy does not go vertical. It's totally horizontal. And everyone is equal, and we all do the same stuff, and we all do it together. And you drop one person out, and it breaks that strong, line literally that we have. So the fact that we are horizontal kind of
lattice, I believe that's what they say in corporations.
Maybe, yeah.
Ladder, it's just a lattice where everything's like.
And we are more of a collective than an actual. And we all have our own weaknesses too, which is it's great, right? It's someone's stronger here, another person's weaker here, and somehow in our way and the way we've been together, we've just totally balanced each other out.
And you're also learning from each other, right? I equate it also to like a band. I've talked to a few musicians so far, and they speak of like the solo against the band. If you have an idea, you can get really one-tracked in your idea, but once you have a band involved, they're bringing in another idea that you wouldn't have even thought of. They're bringing all their influences, all their talents and skills. You're forced to evolve. Why don't we just go over some influences when you're growing up? What made you want to do film?
Well, for me at least, I've always just been kind of obsessed with it since like when I was little. I was really obsessed with John Carpenter's Halloween. I don't know, it was just weird. And I don't know, I just watched it like every single day for some reason. Like from there, I just kind of found a passion in creating stuff. I was always like creative. I'd always like to draw and just put my creativity into some stuff. And I found like film was one of the best ways to express it. And then especially with Rob Zombie's Halloween, where it was like my favorite musician was remaking my favorite movie, it kind of just opened my eyes and I saw like a different world. And from there, I just wanted to make something on the lines of that. And
so when would you say you started your first?
Grade 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was, again, those like, let's dress up like a bunch of serial killers and kill each other in the backyard and then have like music and edit it together and shit. But
and what would you shoot on, like a phone or something like that? Or
my first movies was on a webcam that would glitch, only record up to 30 seconds with no audio, and we'd have to hold it in the main foyer of my upstairs, and I would just come out of a doorway and kill my brother or something. And then eventually my mom bought me a camcorder, which is still crap, but
yeah,
I could move around with it and, you know, get a little bit more of a film to it. Yeah, and then from there, just, you know, you have to start somewhere, so you just keep progressing, and eventually you learn. And
well, hell, if you're starting grade 5, put in your 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Start young.
Yeah.
Hear about that for sure. I believe in that as well.
How about you guys?
I'll go next, actually, because it kind of relates to yours, Julian.
Yeah.
So for me, about 10 years ago, I started playing music, you know, picking up a guitar to start. But what really drawn me into film was after getting my post-secondary education and learning how in-depth music could be. As a composer, you actually have time to apply everything you learn compared to like when I'd play live in a show, you're just bound to habits because everything's real time. So, you know, I started somewhere too. If you remember, I'd make these shitty tracks that sound like the Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack. like with this,
because I didn't have frog ribbon.
Yeah. I didn't have a good setup at the time. So I used like this keyboard that had all these shitty synth sounds in it.
They're still good. Like, they were still good.
The harmony was good for sure.
I was
you
like,
just
these are
changed
still
the
good. Like, it just has not the talent's there though.
I just needed money basically to buy everything
you just
I have
needed the
now.
money.
So, you know, as an adult, you're able to spend and indulge in what you need. And I definitely got into film because I believe everyone, at least in horror, everyone's entitled to a good scare, as I like to say.
There you go.
So you guys do that with the picture. I come in with the audio, whether it's a jump scare, eerie sound. I enjoy having other people react to something we created and see what they take from it.
You enjoy scaring people. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Pat used to just run around the house sometimes and hide in like a cabinet, and then I'd have to go look for him and shit for like an hour.
And I'm a big kid too, right?
Yeah,
like, guys, you can't see me, but
I'm a big guy. But no,
pounds.
he'd cram into something that you're not supposed to go into.
Or a toaster. I wish I could have been there for that, guys. Sorry.
Well, no, it's not over yet, so don't worry. It's still the same thing.
I mean, we did have that one time.
What show?
When we were playing Michael Myers.
That was fun.
Oh, that was fun. Should we say that? Is that bad?
No. We were on, it was so funny. We out of nowhere, we were on shrooms, and we thought it was a good idea. Hey, let's shut all the lights off and play the Halloween soundtrack and have one guy be Michael Myers while the rest of us hide.
That's an intense game of hide and seek.
Patrick invented that game a long time ago. He would, because I have like a nice Michael Myers suit, so we'd put it on, and then he just shut off all the lights. And then he's like, okay, you gotta find me. And you have to have the song on and the music, and you gotta look in pitch black where you're just smashing into stuff.
Just
and
walking into
you have to find the person. But yeah, then we were playing it with Mike, and we were on fucking shrooms, which is terrifying. You're just tripping out.
Oh, the music alone.
You really do get scared.
You're
hearing
laughs in the corner and stuff.
Yeah, hallucinating and stuff. It was scary.
It was fun though. I'd do it like right now.
It was so scary. It made you laugh. Like I wouldn't be able to hold my laughter. And it wasn't.
I can't move.
It was just because.
I think I only won because like I was the only one not intoxicated, so I knew where to hide. It's like you gotta hide at the front door. They're not gonna check the front door.
Yeah, that's good times.
Some people out there might try that. I might try that. How about you, Michael? When did you start getting into film?
I was always into like just watching films from a kid. And that's any films. I wasn't into any particular genre. And I'm talking like 4 years old. You know, like just when you're starting to gain consciousness, I guess. Well, my mother would tell me I would just, you know, sit and watch a movie and watch it all the way through, even the credits. And I do remember specifically always enjoying the credits. Not because, I mean, I did read them, but I always just loved the way they rolled up the screen, and I had, those static TVs, and I remember I would just put my face against the TV, like literally on it, my cheek, watching these credits roll, and then like playing with the static. I would hear the static, right? Yeah. So I just remember doing that a lot. So for some odd reason, I just was attached to movies. And then my brother-in-law, he introduced horror movies to me, which totally changed everything. That was maybe about 10 years old. Every Friday or Saturday night, he would come over and take us to Blockbuster. Me and my twin brother would pick out a movie for 3 movies for the weekend, that is, and we'd watch, whether it was Friday the 13th or it was Halloween, all these horror movies that I would never ever be able to get to watch. But because he allowed us to, we did. And he, in that time, was introduced to rock and roll too, riding in his car. And that really changed a lot for me. And there came a point in my life when I was about 18 years old. I thought, okay, I want to be a rock star. I want to be a poet. I want to be a writer. I want to be a filmmaker. And I go like, what am I going to choose? Or I want to be a criminal psychologist as well. I'm like, what am I going to choose here? There's so many things. Like in a film, you can kind of be and do and involve yourself into whatever world you want, right? You devote yourself to it. So I said, well, I guess film is the best option because it has everything you want. So that's what was.
So you went to film school,
right? Yeah, which I went there for screenwriting, and then I was 1 week before I dropped out and I switched my course. I don't know. There was some sort of feeling. I said, you know what? I don't need to be taught how to write a script. I need to be taught how to make a movie. I'll write the script. That's not a problem. Teach me how to make a movie. And 1 week before I switched, and I was in his class, and that's where it all started. It would have changed everything.
Destined to happen. Like I was at Sheridan for like a half a year.
That was a good story.
And then one day I was like, I just hate it. It wasn't film because my marks in high school weren't good enough to get into like the film program and shit. So I was doing like random media stuff there, and then one day me and Pat were like, okay, I'm going to school and I'm dropping out right now.
I was your guardian at the time, so I'd say, yeah, let's do it, man. Fuck
it. Yeah, out of there. He was driving my car for me because I was too scared to drive on the highway. You drove me there. We dropped out. We went to the mall. It was one of the best days of my life.
It was a solid day.
But if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't. I waited a little bit, and then I went to film school a little bit later, where I went at the same time as my little brother because he had just graduated. My brother Lucas, who had just dropped out of Brock. We all went at the exact same time.
And I dropped out of York.
And he dropped out of that, so it was just destined to come together.
All these dropouts.
I graduated Mohawk.
He did. He was the
I didn't go to film school, though. I'm the only one that doesn't have it.
Explains a lot.
Yeah, it's okay.
It doesn't need it, though,
I gotta work and buy everything I need for the movies.
You're a musician, you don't even need the film school.
Mm-hmm. I learned from you guys. You guys are my school now. The amount of stuff you guys taught me is endless. The list is endless for sure.
Just keep shredding, dude.
That's it. Just keep shredding.
Mike, what was the first movie Carlos showed you? What was that first horror movie? I'm so curious.
That is a great question. It most likely would have been Friday the 13th.
You got to call him and just.
I would not be able to. Wow, I must have been 6 years old, man. But Crazy. It most likely would have been Friday the 13th.
First one.
Yeah, it has to be. I wouldn't have been Halloween. It wouldn't have been Nightmare on Elm Street. Maybe Amityville Horror as well. That could be because that's my favorite top 3 horror movies for sure for me. It'd be Amityville Horror. The remake. I don't know. Something about it. I love it.
Ryan Reynolds.
It's Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
The mirror scene scared the shit out of me.
Shirt off.
They didn't even need a fucking story. They just signed Ryan Reynolds and they're like, we did it.
Yeah.
It's over.
That was a good one.
It is a good one. Chloe Grace Moretz's first movie.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
The legend.
Nice.
My first scary movie I watched, I swear, must have been Aliens with my father. Like, we watched that stuff together. That was terrifying. That mouth hand action.
Alien was scary. Yeah.
Cool soundtrack.
I wouldn't even touch the box.
Yeah.
I remember it just being that box set. I'm like, whoa, I can't touch this. I'm not going near that. No way.
Terrifying.
I think that was probably it.
I think aliens are the most terrifying things in the world. Well, no. Well, tomorrow the raid, the Area 51 raid, right?
Apparently they canceled it.
They canceled it?
Yeah.
No way.
Some guy was probably sick.
What a flop.
Rescheduled.
I had a flight.
Yeah, your flight. Because it was just a guy's joke, right?
Well, sure.
And then they were like really thinking about the logistics of it, where it's like, there's going to be 1 million people here. We don't have bathrooms. We don't have water. We don't have food.
Yeah, but whose problem is that? That's Area 51's problem.
Contracts. That's what.
One guy like me is not going to have gotten the memo, and he's going to be there all along. He's going to go.
So this podcast.
He's going to be one of those dust. What are those?
Hay balls.
Hay balls running by. He's gonna,
Tumbleweeds. That's
tumbleweed. Yeah.
Really, if you're so weak in your resolve to be like, oh, they canceled the Facebook group, and you're not going to go, like, were you really going to go in the first place?
Exactly.
They were just going there to get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Instagram. Like,
Yeah, they just turn it into a rave or something.
yeah, well, that's what I thought. It's going to be like Burning Man.
Like burning people after the government gets to them. Jesus. Well, if they went to Area 51, you know.
The government's here to help you. I'm winking, but
Described audio.
Julian,
Described visual, sorry.
if I had to guess the movie you watched, I'm going to say it's Halloween. John Carpenter's your first horror movie. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
100%. I think I said
Okay.
that.
How do you even remember your first horror movie, though?
Because you're so scared, you know what I mean?
you
Like,
know-
mine would be, like, Carlo. I mean, that was later in my life when Carlo introduced, but, like, I can't remember the first one.
First one for me, 100% Halloween.
Really?
Yeah. Like my cousin Orlando, when I was really, really little, I was in like grade one or like fucking kindergarten. I go to his house and he dressed up full Michael Myers gear and he started chasing me around his house. And little did he know that was going to scar me for the rest of my life. But, that was, I thank him for that, because then I started, it scared me, but then I was like, it was kind of cool. I kind of enjoyed it at the same time. It was like, I kind of liked that at such a young age that I started, cousins Jordan and Nick, they had all the Halloweens on DVD. So I'd start going to their house and I'd just like, we'd always watch all the Halloweens just all the time. And then, I bought them all and I would just watch them every single day. I'd come downstairs and I'd look at Christian. I'd go, which one today? And we'd shuffle them and pick one behind our back.
Nice.
Yeah, I've just been obsessed with that. The only movie that's actually ever scared me, though, like Halloween did scare me at first, but Jaws was just
Okay, you know
terrifying.
what? I would probably say Jaws would have been the first one then.
Yeah.
That really rung a bell.
That one really
In terms of my
got- yeah.
first horror. Yeah.
Terrifying.
Thanks, John Williams.
Couldn't sit on the toilet after Jaws, man.
No, yeah.
Awful.
Go swimming after that? You're like, no, I'm not going in there. Stay on
Yeah.
the stairs.
Crazy how that...
That's great. Like a movie could do that to somebody, like a movie, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it changed your entire life.
So many people have said that, where they won't go in the ocean or swimming or...
No.
terrified of
Amazing.
sharks still to this day.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
You didn't watch The Meg.
No, I can't. I hate sharks, man. They're real life monsters that we don't really look at.
That we're mass
they'll
killing.
tear me
It's
apart.
crazy.
Big fish. Big fish.
It's like water's just scary too. Like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
'cause
Can't
you
see
don't-
the bottom.
Yeah, it's like you're swimming there, anything could just pull you down.
Deep, too. It's like a...
Gone.
Why don't we talk about some of these films? So these aren't released, right?
Will be released. For example, Dreamcatcher can be seen on DirecTV in the shorts category. And God's Mama and Angel can be seen on House of Disaster TV, which is an Italian streaming platform. So those can be watched.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones, no. They're still doing their festival route. Yeah.
Let's talk about Dreamcatcher then, because that's one you said is DirecTV, right?
Right.
Talk a bit about your inspiration for it.
Well, yeah. Well, first, Dreamcatcher's a film about Julia, who's a victim to multiple psychological disorders. And in this one night, she must survive without her prescribed sedatives, where a mystical underworld spider creature comes out to get her, essentially. But in terms of the inspiration for it, it started with me getting a Dreamcatcher as a gift, and I was just fascinated by the overall shape of the Dreamcatcher in general, and I was trying to create my own lore for it, or to see what exactly lore was out there. And I thought it'd be really cool, or it'd be pretty insane if, spiders had some sort of play on the actual weaving of a Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, the webbing. I never actually thought of that.
Right. And, if they are weaving these dream catchers, why are they doing that? And I was saying, okay, well, why must they do that? Maybe there's some sort of overlord or someone they're serving, kind of like a queen bee kind of thing. And the idea or the purpose of a dream catcher to then ward off evil spirits. And I was just thinking, okay, well then obviously this creature can't be something evil if weaving these dream catchers is keeping out evil. It has to be a neutral force. It has to be almost like nature. And I thought that was really interesting to have this, monster of a spider have these minions weaving these dream catchers to ward off evil spirits for this, helpless girl who's suffering mentally and really just wants a good night's sleep if that were to kind of flip upside down once she kills a spider in her room. Which is something I never do. And that's where I was inspired by, because if there's a spider in my room, I don't kill it. I just pick it up and I throw it out the window. Not that that's going to kill it, but I pick it up, throw it out the window, or I'll go downstairs, put it outside. I won't kill the spider essentially just because of things like that, like the idea of these, fantastical worlds and fantastical purposes for things. And it was a quick write. It was just like, awesome. Let's put a lot into production design and let that tell the deeper story. Because it obviously you don't get that from the narrative. The narrative is just exactly how I'd summarized it, but you could get these little bits if you watch it.
That's interesting, the fact that the monster, the large spider, would have been nice.
It's protecting her from her bad dreams, and that's the thing, right? Sometimes you don't know who's protecting. You don't know who's keeping your life in order. But if, you make a poor decision or you do something wrong to that person without knowing how much they actually do for you, it's going to bite you. It's going to bite you in the ass. Yeah. It's not going to be, and that's really the moral of it, is those who protect you most and go unseen can have the worst effects when you hurt them. Fuck, it's been a while since I wrote that movie, so I'm just like remembering its purpose,
Yeah.
Certainly that would be it.
In the films I've been able to watch, I have noticed the sound production is pretty great. What were you thinking when you were putting together the score for that?
The beauty of it is Michael, Mike's around all the time. You ask him, say, Mike, what do you see from the movie? Like when I talk to you about it, you really get to hear that, but on a more deeper note in the specifics of a specific scene. So I picture it as a roller coaster, and you can see that with the movie. And at the end is when it should really hit you and just kind of warm your body with eeriness up till then. So it's all about experimenting and finding sounds that are unnerving. And every time I score, I try and do something different from the last. So, this movie, I really got to learn how to make eerie noise on my guitar compared to an orchestra, for example, then kind of blend them together. And it makes a completely amazing sound that you don't hear often. And that's really what might catch your ear or someone else's ear to get drawn into it with the picture that's happening at the same time. And hopefully you get a little kick at the end when you see it.
Just the practical effect of the spider. Just going back to like Jaws and like Alien, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately and a lot of them on film. And I think actually even Joe Rogan was talking about this with Rob Zombie.
Yes, he was.
You might not even realize it at the time, but your mind kind of picks up that, oh, this is real. Whereas if it's digital, you're like, oh, that's a little too smooth. That doesn't look so that it's not a real threat. Whereas if it's physical, even if it's a monster, it still will trigger that like lizard brain where you're like, oh my God, I could encounter this because it holds space in this world. I know it's probably more a financial thing when you're doing these shorts that you probably can't, you're not going to have time for post-production and all that stuff. But who comes up with the prop? Is that also like a collective thing? Like everybody make a leg? Everyone like...
It can be like that. We didn't do 8 legs for obviously budget reasons, so we did 2 legs. But Christian, Lena, Julian, you worked on the spider legs as well. You guys, actually moving the legs yourselves in the frame. But Christian, was overseeing the actual spider beast. Ariana did the face of the spider creature. She's our makeup artist. We just kind of assembled it together and shot it. So it's like, how could we make this look as large as possible? And we said, okay, we'll just make it come from half of the frame. Kind of how any practical monster's done, where you just use that half frame, and whether it's a giant hand puppet or whatever, we just had a person leaning,
arms behind the
back, and had 2 legs being moved by 2 other individuals, which worked out really well, actually.
It's creepy. I also liked the first sight of the eyes, when the eyes start coming up, like when she's lying there.
That was the first, I think, ever VFX we've ever done. And it was necessary. It was just, again, to plant a seed that there's some in this closet. There's a big creature overseeing this girl's her mind and her psychological. And you don't even know if it's in her mind or not. That's another thing. Whether it's reality or because of her mental illness or mental disorders, so to say. So that made it fun and keeps audience on their toes. Is this real? Can something actually happen? Can she actually be hurt?
I'd say doing the spider legs too for that scene was challenging. I don't know if Julian, you felt the same way, because we're beside Christian Dalton, who's the spider. We're moving the legs and we can see that it's a dude, and I can see you holding the other leg, but you and Dylan were on camera, right? You guys are looking at that monitor. And
Jules still in the frame. You could still, if you bump the brightness, you'll see Julian in the frame moving the arm.
It's like that Batman.
I had to vignette it slightly because you just see Julian and he's sweating in a tank top. He's just trying to move the leg.
The room was roasting. It was bad.
Even the Dreamcatcher's first
just pouring sweat. We're like, did we get it? We're just moving his fucking leg. Like, oh my god.
That was tough. No AC, about 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Tight. It was a room, filled with lights and people.
That's the best part about film is like no one ever realizes all the work that's going on behind the camera, and then you're like, wow, that's a great shot. And you're like, fuck that shot.
Everyone's with their shirts off, tied around their head.
Yeah. I think I lost 10 pounds on that set. Yeah, thanks. So I need to go on a diet. I need to come on our set.
That's it. Yeah. And we actually shot Abigail in the same house. Well, the same houses. Yeah.
It's like we had like two next to each other.
Same location.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So, we shot like mine in the left house, his mainly in the right. Did you shoot any No, yours is based in the room.
Mm-hmm. Mine was one room.
Yeah, so we got a house each. It was nice.
We might be a while till we can see Abigail, but it also might be a while till this goes live. So why don't you kind of, if you want, just give like a little rundown about what Abigail is?
So Abigail is mainly a story. Like the main reasoning behind it is like depression and a family falling apart and like a young girl falling apart and inside falling apart as well. And nobody really knows what to do. Nobody could really make it better, and she's got her own demons and seeing like a horse in her dreams, representations of death and stuff like that. It was a story that kind of just evolved as we were kind of shooting, you could say, because like I was kind of like mid-shoot, like my friend passed away in a motorcycle accident. So the film just started getting darker and darker. We did some rewrites, reshoots after, where I brought in the horse because I felt like it told the story in a better way than what we had before. But yeah.
Even from like the quote, like in Revelations, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like 4 horsemen, I'm guessing.
Religion, like you see a horse in your dream, it's a representation of death is what I was kind of going at. And I'm a big Johnny Cash fan. At the beginning of Man Who Comes Around, he starts with that quote. So I kind of reworded it a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It did sound familiar, but it's different when you're reading it and when you have
singing it.
With a nice echo on his voice.
Yeah. Maybe if you could, like, I didn't really follow too much about the show.
At first, we were kind of telling a story. She's kind of saying what to look for. It's almost like she was talking to Abigail. It was like we were kind of like expressing what she needs to do. And at the beginning, it's always check under your bed and stuff like that. You can kind of see her like stuffing her clothes, trying to cover up things, just mentally what she goes through as a kid. Because I remember when I was a kid and if I was scared or something, I'd be, scared of reflections and stuff, and I'd cover it up with a shirt. You throw stuff in front of things in your room that kind of creep you out and stuff. Mm-hmm. So in that show, I kind of was expressing, it was Halloween night and there was a show going on, and it was, her saying, what was the last one? You know it. You heard it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Rule number 3.
Well, cuts out.
Oh, no. Rule number 2. What was it? Always check your closet. Always check your bed. It was kind of just like telling that there's something wrong. It was it was kind of telling the story through the TV.
Yeah.
Was it a never ever or something?
Oh, yeah. And it was supposed to be like the 3rd rule, which would inform the audience a little bit more. who do you feel sorry for? Is it the girl who had a normal life and now has to take on the responsibility of her little sister? Or is it the little sister who's suffering every day? It's like everybody's got their own dark tale.
Yep.
And the only person, like, you could be there for each other, but you have to come through yourself. You know, you need to find the strength and you need to better yourself at the end of the day. Nobody else really, they could give you input and try to help you out, but you have to be the one. You know, that's kind of my under the line message.
I mean, I got most of those vibes, but that's why it's good to be able to have these conversations. I love people's motivation. Well, the whole name of this podcast is Undeniable. Basically, it's supposed to be, why do artists continue to be artists? Whereas basically everything in life kind of tells you not to be an artist. Like, I mean, beyond like maybe the chance you're going to make it big or whatever, but I don't think any true artist goes in with that in mind, where they're thinking that they're going to be the best or like you're going to make millions of dollars or whatever. I think it's more of a need to voice something.
You don't really choose, right? You don't choose to be an artist. You just kind of like, if you are one, you just have to be one. There's no other way you could go about your day. There's no other way you could, enjoy I guess in my case, enjoy your time here on earth, unless you are that, unless you are being that, and things in your life, are affected by that. Otherwise, it doesn't feel as great of a place, if you can't, it's not even expressing yourself. You're just expressing and sharing. Yeah. That's all it is. Because like you said, being a conduit, you're taking from something and sharing it. It's not even necessarily that's me, like me, Michael. Like, I don't even consider that. I consider whatever that comes out of me, someone else. It's me, Michael's a different person. That artist is someone else. It's a universal mind, as I would say, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's, for the longest time, I wouldn't tell people as a writer. I wouldn't tell people that this is what I did, because I felt like I was really into streamline, like consciousness writing, where I would just sit down and often get quite intoxicated and just like wake up the next day and read it and be like, wow, what?
Exactly.
and then what changed my life was first year university, I went back and I had a notebook for each class, and I had no notes in any one of my like 5 classes, but I had pages and pages of little vignettes or like prose or poems or story ideas, and I would just go and read these, and I have no recollection of any of them, and be like, this is good, like,
right. That makes you feel something.
And and if you're not doing it for yourself as a fan, and once you commodify it, it's hard to maintain the same love, the same passion, the same drive.
Yeah, the film is just really weird people you got to listen to, and things you have no say in. That, like, it's a weird industry, right? Yeah. For an artist, that is. Yeah, for someone who's trying to express something.
And you kind of need to take control.
You got to find a way to outsmart them. You got to find a way to put it in there, right under their bloody nose, and they won't catch it. You get what you want, they get what they want, and
both parties are happy.
That's what the best do, right? Like someone like Spielberg, sure, it'd be a great example where they're commercial movies, but again, there's something about them that no matter what, you're always feeling something, and everyone's getting something a little different, and everyone's sharing something different, but it's also the same together. He does a good job at that. And I'm sure he has his own troubles too with producers, even though he produces all this stuff. Yeah.
To think that he did E.T. and Schindler's List.
Close Encounters and Jaws.
Done
wild.
So many shit. Jurassic Park.
Indiana Jones. Crazy. I love him. Steven, if you're listening, what's up?
Who came up with the name Metal Monster?
I don't even remember.
It's like a round table of ideas at the time.
Studio or just bouncing shit back and forth all the time.
I don't even know who did. Yeah. We were just all shooting ideas, and then it hit. And it hit, right? Like it.
What do we all like? We're like Metal Monster.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, there it is. Done.
Basically, all you guys have done is horror, right? Do you see yourselves going out, different genres, different stories?
It's the most asked question I get when I talk to people.
Cans have labels, people don't.
Mm.
You know,
There
that
you
was
go.
one quote I heard that stuck out to me. I was
What was it?
Cans have labels, people don't.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you're going to have to be that. I'm just saying, okay, let's put that in a different way. What's the film, if you had unlimited budget, what would you do?
Mine would still be horror.
Fantasy epic.
I want to stay in horror.
For sure. 100%.
I'm gonna do the way in the middle. I'm gonna have a fantasy horror.
Yeah, but this fantasy epic involves horror. Like, it involves
Like
that. You
Pan's
can't.
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Why?
If somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, do you want to do the Lord of the Rings?" You right now, you would say,
They said
no.
to me, I'd say.
You kidding me? You'd let some other guy.
Well, I
go
looked
do
at
it?
him in the face and go, you fucking kidding me? You asked me that question. Of course I'll do it.
I asked that question to my girlfriend too. I'm like, what if like somebody came up to me and said, you could do Frankenstein right now, you could remake it. Like I asked her, I was like, would you be fine with me remaking Frankenstein? She said, no, I don't want you to do it. She's like, Del Toro has to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of agree. I'm like, I would love to see Del Toro do it, but at the same time, I'm like, why would I?
Why
pass
would
this
you?
up?
Why would you pass on it?
That
Who
could
cares?
be-
He's just human, just
Just
like
have
human.
fun.
It's like Rob Zombie with Halloween. He was hesitant. He said no at first, and then eventually he's like, "Is somebody else going to do it?" And then just like be the one to do it.
Yeah, and I think you make sure you respect it as much as you can. It's not like you're going to do it and you're going to drive it into the ground. At the end of the day, you're going to try to do the best possible job as possible.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about you guys, but I'm my worst critic.
Oh yeah.
Pretty well every artist I've met it's like that, because again, you're trying to please yourself. What do you want to see? So of course you take it, because you know that you're gonna make the movie you want to see, and that'd be awesome.
yeah, I read this thing where it's like artists are narcissists filled with a lot of self-doubt. You know, that's really what it is.
No, it's true. I always called myself the scared narcissist or something like that. Like, I forget.
It's true. That's exactly what we are.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Just start and you do it.
You're like, I can't do midway. I can't do this.
And then like, why am I doing this? Does anybody care that I'm doing this?
Right.
Is there any point in doing
Exactly. I should just die. Gosh, that's literally what it comes down to.
And I come in with like a violin.
That's why it's good to have, you know, again, a collective. It's just the support. It's great. In these scenarios, as an individual, the struggles you go through.
Yeah.
Julian's always there to pick me up. Pat's always there to pick me up. And
You won't
vice
let me pick
versa.
you up, by the way.
I don't like being touched.
Yeah,
It's
Mike
different.
won't let me pick him. I pick him up emotionally, though. Not
Get
physically.
off of me.
I'd say to answer your question, Thomas, too, at least this is the way I see it. We did horror to almost stand out for the past two or 3 years that we've been doing Metal Monster. You know, we make scary movies. And that sounds cool, and
Yeah.
people will check us out because of that. Doesn't
we
mean we're
wanna-
always going to do it, right?
And we want to tell dark stories.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it really comes down to, is telling dark stories. We find that, we talk about all the time, that if you can control, you know, if you can control fear and the audience, if you can put fear into somebody, there's no reason why you can't put any other emotion, because fear at the end of the day is, I think, the strongest emotion above love, above all those things, because it really does. If there's anything that's going to stop someone from doing what they're doing, it is fear. Always.
Paralyzes you.
It literally.
Not to get political, but that's the biggest vice of like politicians, is they
Yeah.
always use fear to like motivate you,
Of course.
because just for
We're,
that reason.
you know, beings of survival, and to survive, you know, involves mortality, and fear is directly
Yeah.
part of that, right?
You give them fear, then you take it away, so you're a good guy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Jeez. So I think anything, if we did branch off into something, it would still have a dark, very dark elements, just, I guess,
Yeah.
translated in a different way.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
Even on Christmas
I want to make a
movies.
happy,
Well, like I don't know.
like a full-on,
I would do comedy, but like just messed up comedy. Like
Yeah.
darker.
What we
stuff.
do in the shadow is hilarious.
That-
It's
yeah.
a dark comedy, though.
That's cool. Like you watch some South Park episodes, like even some are just messed up. Like it's a different way of expressing something deranged.
yeah.
It's the opposite of horror. It's horror and comedy. It's, you know, happy and sad, or it's the two most effective emotions. You know, like
Comedy and tragedy, that is, yeah.
comedy, tragedy. Yeah. I can't write anything that doesn't get dark eventually. Everyone just starts dying in my scripts as I write it.
Especially Adrian.
But yeah, he's my guy I go to for a dead guy every movie. Nah, he's like one of my best friends. Yeah. Another incredible musician.
Token dead guy. That's good. If you could go back and tell that kid who saw Halloween for the first time, what would you tell him?
Run free. That's it. That's literally what I'd say. Don't worry about anything. Just run free, man.
Yeah, take the armor off, as Jim Carrey says. You know,
literally.
Don't be afraid of anything. You know, express your creativity in the best way you can, and keep being creative, keep being you, and somebody will recognize it and, you know, find your uniqueness, if that's a fucking word. You'll blossom and you'll move. And for me at least, I feel I've been progressing. So yeah.
Don't be shy. That's really it.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. People are scared to be creative, man.
Confucius.
It's hard sometimes. Yeah. Like I get like social anxiety too. Like I bet you guys do. Like I don't know, maybe not you as much. No, actually not you two. These guys can talk to anybody.
Dude, I talk to MGM.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gotta take the armor off. That's the big one.
If you're paralyzed by fear, if that's what fear does, how many people don't do what they want to do because their parents, society, somebody told them you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Or you yourself don't have the courage to step out and do it.
It's the hardest thing. Even especially as a writer, the fear of just like starting right on that blank page is terrifying. You know, you're there and it's like, well, what's the best thing you could do? Just write. Just get in there, you know, like
get the draft done.
But like that blank page is daunting.
My fear was always not finishing. I never told anybody, but like I lived with 5 people, and I would like in school I was writing a novel, and I wouldn't like be up in my room and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, you know, I'm just hanging out writing something." And they're like, "Oh," and then they would tell other people, and then like everyone's like, "When do I get to read the novel?" And I was just like, I didn't want to be that stereotypical guy who's like, "I'm writing a novel, man." So like that was what with me, like that voice in my head.
That's for everything. Like a lot of filmmakers, you know, like you gotta make sure it's not something that you're just talking about and actually doing, you know, or like you know how many times you're starting to do something, you're starting to film something like we used to. How many times would we go and shoot something?
Still have the footage.
It becomes lost footage because we don't finish it, you know.
Or like, we use it though in something else, which is the best part.
Definitely beneficial. Like for a filmmaker, if you could keep filming like every day, go for it. You know, you're just bettering yourself. You know?
Yeah, we recycle our own ideas like crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh,
you make so many ideas that you're only stealing from yourself.
Yeah. That's.
I think. I can't remember it, but I used to say like, when I was ready to write, it was like I'd find all these vignettes, all these little things, and it's like once you can weave it together into one narrative, and all those ideas come together, then you know you have something, because you can have 1,000 ideas. You're like, oh, that's kind of good, but then when you have that moment where it clicks, and it's like,
this and this.
Little kid could be his son, and that's
those are the best.
It's like, well, it's all done on this mountaintop that and you're just like, and then it's also like you start it and you realize it's completely different, and you're like, okay, well, it's now going this way, but you have to have the trust in the project, I guess, to follow where it's gonna go.
And to remember what was the core of it.
That's really what you're trying to get at, right? The core.
Yeah.
Wow. So guys, shout out to yourselves. Give a shout out to the world.
Big shout out. www.metalmonsterproductions.com. That would be our website. You can see our projects in development there, our short films, our trailers, any BTS we've done, upcoming movies, festivals, newsletters. There's tons of stuff there, but definitely check out our Facebook page, which is just search up Metal Monster Productions. You'll see that. If you like it, you'll see more real time of what's going on. Instagram's a big one too.
You get stories. You can always watch it. We're always posting articles. We always want your opinions and
polls. Lots of polls, fun, engaging posts. So check it out.
Our newsletter on the website too, guys. Definitely good. Keep up to date with the Metal Monster team.
That's all.
All right, Julian, Michael, Patrick, great to have you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for having us.
brand new in this podcast game, so please take the time and subscribe, give us a like, share us with your friends, give us a review. All this helps with the algorithms. You know how the world runs these days. Nobody gets to choose. It's all what's put in front of us. And there are literally thousands of podcasts. So help us separate from the rest, and I will continue to bring great interviews like this. So stay tuned, subscribe, and share the love. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much. Undeniable is a creation from Tomcast Industries. Theme music was created by Tony Malik.